Okay.
Wonderful. So let me go ahead and introduce to you Ty Roberts, who is one of the amazing advisors, mentors, and friend of the Rec Innovation Lab. She's been so helpful with our work in this very difficult time of trying to find employees to work when the unemployment rate is just so low and it's so hard to find quality employees. She's been able to do that for us and with us, and we're really excited to hear from you today. I just, if anybody has questions as we go, please do put the question in the as well. We also are linked here in the chat for feedback, and we'd love to get feedback from all of you during and after the workshop. And I'm going to hand it over to Ty because I know my connection is a little unstable right here. So Ty, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, and good evening, everybody. I am super excited to be presenting something that is very near and dear to my heart as an entrepreneur. And like Tanya said, my name is Ty Roberts, so I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am the CDO and co-founder of a startup in San Diego called Frontline Careers. And what we do is we connect frontline workers who are looking for more with companies who offer more. Now, you may wonder what that more means. That more means more opportunity, more benefits like healthcare, 401ks, more perks like paid time off or paid time to volunteer. There are so many great companies out here who offer things like that, and we help frontline workers find those companies. In addition to that, we also do a workplace assessment for frontline heavy companies. We come in, we speak to their frontline workers and managers, and we find out if it's really a great place for them to work. And if the company is great, they're frontline friendly certified. So this, of course, started off as an idea, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. As entrepreneurs, we all come up with these amazing and wonderful ideas. And right now, there's a surge in entrepreneurship. We all know about the Great Resignation, right? COVID came and a lot of us decided, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I really want to see if this idea I've been tossing around is something viable that I can kind of go out into the world with. Whether it's something to make the world around you better, whether it's social disruption, or a product that you think is innovative. People are at a higher rate than ever jumping into entrepreneurship. So you've got the idea, you set up your business, you've created your LLC, your sole I cannot talk, guys. You've done all sorts of things. I know, right? It's just all the tongue twisties. Also, by the way, I'm in Texas, so it's 9 o'clock. So y'all bear with me. But you've done all these things, all these amazing things. You've set up your company. And then what, right? Sometimes we get our heads and nose to the grindstone because we're working so hard to get our product out or to complete our tasks that we forget there's a lot of pitfalls that startups can fall into. Now, we all know a large percentage of startups fail within the first 2 years, some in the first 5, and then even more by the time you get to the 7-year mark. Now, I'm not saying that these things can help you avoid failure because sometimes that's just part of the game. But these 5 steps I'm going to share with you tonight, while not everything, they are some things that startups sometimes forget to take care of, and this can help you avoid some of those pitfalls. So we will go ahead and get started. Here's what I'm kind of be covering tonight. We're going to be talking about building your team, why that's important, how to create your mission, vision, values, creating your brand, researching and setting your market strategy, and testing, tweaking, and pivoting when your idea is not quite where it needs to be. So, building a team. What makes a great team and why is that so important to the success of most startups? Well, 23% of all startups fail because they have a weak founding team. And 2 or more co-founders increase a startup's success by 30%. Experience alone doesn't make you successful. You need soft skills as well, which are, of course, passion and strategic planning. We all know that entrepreneurship can be a very lonely venture. You're pulled outside of an office space often, working only in a small team or maybe by yourself. So you're missing all the energy and the buzz that comes with working in an office. You're missing a manager who may be giving you a roadmap to success because you are now creating the roadmap by yourself. So it's really important when you're working on something and really wanting to bring your dreams to life that you find people that can help you. You find a support staff that can fill in for you and act as a community. All right. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my team because there's 3 of us that are co-founders. So our first co-founder, our CEO, worked for a Fortune 200 company, and he worked directly with frontline workers. In fact, from working with them is how he came up with the idea to start this company. He got to know what their pain points were, what kind of things they were looking for in a job, and how they felt locked out and had a lack of opportunity to really advance. He also realized how integral frontline workers are to the success of a business. These are the people with their feet on the ground, and these are the people that oftentimes are the most overlooked. My second founder and COO has a PhD in IO psychology. Now, what that basically is an assessment of workplace environments. He goes in and he can tell a workplace how healthy they are. This is very important to what we do because it's the second service we offer. He knows how to go in, how to assess a workplace and let them know if, yep, you're on the right track and you're doing the right thing. I myself come from a nonprofit background. So a lot of my skills are in marketing, branding, campaign management, and creation. So I am, for lack of a better word, the creative on the team with some technical lifting, which I'm quite proud of. I know how to build and wireframe websites, and I know how to track marketing metrics and keep our brand consistent. The 3 of us together make a pretty robust team. And when we run into issues or we have ideas, it's really nice to have someone to bounce things off of. This is why it's so important to create your team when you're starting out in your company. Now, and it's also important, of course, to create a diverse team, right? So if we all had the same skills, we couldn't really be a benefit to each other. If we were all financial whizzes, we would be missing out on a lot of things. Now, if you decide to go solo, which a lot of times has to happen because A, maybe you don't have a partner, or B, maybe this is an idea that you really want to take on by yourself. That doesn't mean you have to be alone. It's important to find advisors, advisory boards, to hook up with other co-founders who can give you great resources and who you can bounce ideas off of. Next, we'll talk a little bit about mission, vision, and values. Why this is one of the first steps you need when you're creating your business. So according to the Harvard Business Review, startup teams with a high level of previous experience but low levels of passion and a collective vision were overall weaker. Now we may be asking ourselves why, and the answer is your mission is your North Star. It's your anchor. It's the thing that tells you what your business is striving towards. One of my mentors had a great saying that I have kept with me my entire career, and that is, everything we did had to be traced back to a kid in a desk. And if we couldn't trace it back to a kid in a desk, we needed to reevaluate what we were doing. Now, this didn't include administrative stuff or things that you have to do to keep your business running. This was more about the work of your business. Your mission, and as long as the task you're doing answer back to your mission, lets you know that you're moving in the right direction. Vision is your where. What's your end game? Where do you see your company at the end of its life cycle, if it's achieved what it was meant to achieve? It's important to set this up early with your team, because if one co-founder has an idea that your company is going to go one direction and another co-founder has an opposite direction, you're going to eventually reach an impasse. It's great if you can head off those things early and discuss, because if you don't, it can end up dissolving your partnership because you just don't have the same vision in mind for your company. Your values, of course, are your how. What is our company culture like? What kind of company do we want to be? How do we want to be perceived by the outside world? Right now, many of us are very small because, well, that's the nature of a startup. But one day, and hopefully, if we're all successful, we may have a larger team. We're going to need to onboard people into our organization. It's important to set your values while you're still small, while you are very closely tied to your mission. So those little things, those important things don't get lost. Your mission, your vision, your values, they help define why your business exists and what problems it solves and the actions you're going to take. It is your purpose. The lesson here is while this may seem like unnecessary business, busy work, or something that you can get to later, it's something you should focus on because it's going to be the thing that drives you forward. Now, branding is one thing that I love to talk about. It's one of my favorite things to discuss with other business starters as well, because branding is not just logos and colors. It is the story of who your company is. Customers appreciate it when a business keeps their brand consistent. In fact, it can increase your revenues by 33%. In addition to that, part of branding is your colors of your business. Customers recognize your business 80% of the time by the colors you use. Your brand tells the story of who you are. So while it may seem like as you're creating your business, you can go, well, royal blue is my favorite color. So that's what color I'm going to use for my business. But what if royal blue doesn't really tell the story of your business? Color theory lets you know what colors relate to maybe what you're selling, right? Your logos, your typography, your icon styles, all of this should be consistent across all of your platforms. That's your website, that's anything in print, that's social media. Oftentimes you'll look at a business social media and then you'll look at their website and they don't even look like they know each other. It's important to keep these things consistent. I love to think about Netflix when I look at branding because I think they really have hit the nail on the head. Netflix, their color is Netflix red, of course, but why red? Do you think they chose red just because their founder just really loved that color? I guess it's probably something a lot more purposeful, like red wakes up your brain, right? It keeps you engaged. It also increases hunger. Netflix's entire mission is for you to grab a bowl of popcorn, sit down, and binge watch 17 episodes of a show until it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They want you to keep coming back. They want you to consume what they're putting out. They've even got their branding down to a sound. When you hear it, you know someone's about to start watching one of their favorite shows or something new. The lesson here really is to be consistent and purposeful when you choose these elements. Don't take it lightly. And then make sure, down to your font, that if this is what you've decided, you can find it on everywhere where your business is represented, because this is who you are and this is who your business is. Research market strategy. Why is it important to know your customer? And when I say know your customer, I don't just mean like, I know that most of my customers are women, or I know most of my customers are married. I mean, know your customer. 14% of startups fail due to not recognizing their customers' needs. Make sure you know specifically who's going to benefit from your solution and how they benefit. You're going to create a customer persona. And this persona is not just, well, I think most of my customers are between 40 and 45. It is a person. Ours is name choice. Yours may have a totally different name, but your customer persona should have a name, an exact age. We need to know what their sex is. Are they married? Are they single? Do they never want to get married? What are their hobbies on the weekend? How do they consume their information? Are they active on social media? Taking these steps to create a very detailed customer persona will help you to keep your pulse on who your customer is. Now, that doesn't mean all your customers look the same, but what it does mean is you know that you're answering your pain points of your customer. Keep that customer fluid as well, because as we know, over time, customers tend to change and evolve. As you're setting out your marketing goals, remember the acronym SMART. Make them specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Specific meaning it's not broad. I have a very specific idea of what I'm doing. And if I make it specific enough, I can measure it. And when I measure it, I know how well I'm achieving said goal. I have to make it attainable because if it's too far out of reach, I'm never going to hit the mark. Make it relevant because your customer is going to be looking for that. If you're working in marketing on something that they're not interested in, they will let you know. And then time-based, meaning that it's not an open-ended time frame. You give yourself deadlines to reach certain goals. Know your business and your competitors inside and out. When I think about this, I think about 17 magazine, which some of you probably don't even know what that is. But I grew up reading 17 magazine. In fact, 17 magazine was in print for 74 years and went out of print in 2018. Now, we all know print media's fallen to the wayside a lot of times, but 17 magazine ran into that problem because they didn't choose to evolve and go into a digital and print as well. And they also didn't keep a good eye on their customer. When they first started, their customer was a suburban white female who loved to sit around reading magazines. And that served them very well. But over time, their customer became more diverse. Their customer didn't just live in the suburbs, and they didn't change their style. They are now trying, of course, to go digital, but it's really hard to play catch up. Imagine if they would have kept their finger on the pulse. Imagine if someone in the company would have been paying attention, watching, paying attention to who their customer persona was, and changing it when they needed to. That's the lesson. Know your customer, but keep it fluid. Know your business and know when it's time to make changes because your customer's demanding something different. Now, my favorite by far is this idea of test, tweak, and pivot. A lot of times when we create an idea, we become very attached to it. And even if all signs are pointing to us and telling us this might not be quite right, we sometimes put our head down and charge right ahead, ignoring all the signs around us. 42% of startups fail due to misreading the demands of the market and failing to change and adapt when needed. You have to learn to embrace experimentation and change, which oftentimes can be very scary, especially when we create something. We take it personal to have to tweak it and change it. But don't be so married to your idea in its conception phase when it's just an infant that you don't allow for it to grow and change into something else. Keep things fluid with your idea and allow it to evolve as needed. Experiment, tweak it, see what's working best. One of the best examples of this is Amazon. As we know, Jeff Bezos started Amazon as an online book company. He wanted to get a book in the hands of readers in a very short amount of time. And that's a great idea. I would argue to say that it's not as great as what he's doing now. So in his inception, after he started this company and he had started doing books, he said, what if it's not just books I could get in the hands of consumers? What if it was any product that they wanted, they could find and I could get to them? And I think we all know that that worked out pretty good. And that pivot was a pretty inspired pivot, seeing as how Amazon is the giant it is. So the lesson here is to not be so in love with your idea that you're not scared to change it. Experiment with your idea. There's companies out there that are constantly tweaking their social medias to see if they're getting a better response, running A/B tests, changing their email marketing. Do these things because these small tweaks can give you a lot of payback. Now, I know I've said a lot, but I would love to share some resources with you guys. These are by far not every resource that's out there for startups, because we know if you were to Google resources for startups, you would end up with a plethora of things. So Disciplined Entrepreneurship by Bill Olet is a great book. Here's why. 24 steps that take you from idea to an MVP. So that's your minimally viable product. A lot of times, like we said, when you're starting out as a startup, you don't have a playbook. He gives you a playbook that you could follow, tweak, and make your own. Next, the brand strategy toolkit is one of my favorite things to recommend to people. It's a PDF that you can print out or fill out. And what it does is it takes you through creating your mission, creating your vision, taglines, your branding, your font preference, icons, all in one little place that you and your co-founders or you by yourself can work through. The next thing is the True Colors personality test. I also am a big fan of this because when you're building a team, it's really important, like I said, to make sure your team is diverse. But also, even if the people on your team are people that you've known forever, friends of yours, maybe coworkers, you've never built a business with them. How we communicate as friends and how we communicate as business owners are two totally different things. It's nice to know how your other co-founders like to communicate. And that's what True Colors tells you. It lets you know whether you're a team of all green people that are super strict on rules and sticklers, or you're blue people that are caring and really want to just make everybody happy and harmonious. It lets you know how diverse and how mixed in communication styles that you can use within your own team. The last thing is Experimentation Works by Stephen H. Tomke. Now, in his book, he talks about the importance of experimentation. Why should a business experiment and how to run an experiment as a startup? He talks about companies like Intuit who run thousands of experiments, constantly tweaking, constantly changing things, and seeing whether or not that has an impact on their revenue and their growth. So these are just four. There's tons of other ones out there, like Lean Startup, Start Playbook, Crossing the Chasm. You could Google and find them. I'm not saying you got to read them all. You can skim them. But this is a great place to start when you're really digging into your business. That's about it. I want to thank you guys so much. I know we're going to open it up for questions, but thank you guys for having me. And this has been really great, fun and weird also talking to myself.
Right. It's a little bit difficult when you can't see everybody who's in the room, but I promise you, we were all here listening in.
Well, thank you.
Wonderful work. So, yes, thanks. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's open it up for questions. And one thing I do want to ask, Ty, is do you have a list of those book recommendations? Because I'm going to put those book recommendations into our ongoing list of book recommendations from various startup founders. I have.
Oh yeah, I totally have it. It's on the presentation, but I can also email it to you if you want once we wrap up.
Perfect. Sounds great. Sounds great. And I'll also share with everybody right now a link to our startup book recommendations from founders, and I'll put that in the chat, and we can open this up to questions. So do we
Awesome.
do we have any questions right now from the audience? I know we had lots in the chat as well. Anyone have any questions they want to shout out? If not, I don't know which of them was reviewing the chat. So I have one right now. Let's go ahead and start with Tommy, and then we'll go from there, and then I'll read those out of the chat as well. So Tommy, would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. I also had a comment I wanted to make. It's interesting because I think you touched on two things that I believe to be true that are seldom people touch on with the nuance that you did. And it was the distinction between mission and vision. And I just wanted to touch on, I just wanted to say one thing before I ask a question, but I want to piggyback off of your presentation. I think the Jeff Bezos example is interesting in that it may look like a pivot to some folks, but I believe if you listen to his early interviews, it was actually more an example of him always having a vision for something comparable
Absolutely.
to what manifested. but that books was the avenue, the entry point.
Mhm.
So it's interesting though, because there's a broader lesson perhaps to be learned, which is you can get to the final vision through a series of pivots.
Mhm.
Um, where you start doesn't necessarily matter if you understand what you're trying to build, because if you can build one part of it, then I'm sure if it can be successful and generate revenue, then you can build a second part and build whatever is required. But I guess the question that I wanted to ask was, I know for branding you touched on it, and I think that there are two parts of branding. There is sort of like the physical aspects, the logo, the color. I think a lot of that might be overstated, but I think that branding also has another role, which is sort of a reminder of the company values in some ways. And I was just wanting to ask, how would you surmise, how would you describe that role of branding as a representation of, so not just physical, because again, it just seems like when people like, I do branding, they focus primarily on physical things instead of the emotional things that it represents. So I guess I just wanted to put that out there to you as another distinction and see what your thoughts are on that, if it makes any sense.
Oh no, awesome. Yeah, no, it totally made sense. And also, thank you. So lots to unpack, but let's start at the beginning. You're absolutely right. Jeff Bezos, that is a vision. It's a pivot too, right? So that's why we talk about knowing what your end game is first when you're creating that mission, vision, value, and then also not being afraid to pivot. Because even if you sometimes know where your end game is, people get scared. They get scared to move, right? I've got something that's kind of working. I don't know if I want to pivot, right? He clearly didn't have that fear because his vision was very clear. So thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So now to your second point of what you're saying about branding. Absolutely. So the idea is that branding is who you are. Yes, it's your colors. Yes, it's your logos. Yes, it's your typography, right? It's all of those tangible things that your consumer can see and touch, right? But branding is also your feel, right? So if you create your mission, your vision, and your values, you do that work and you do that work up front, it's going to lead your branding, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm listening. I'm sorry, I muted myself. I was agreeing, but on mute. But yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah. So exactly. That's why, as I was sitting through and kind of ordering the steps, they're ordered that way purposefully, right? They're ordered that way because if you do that work on your mission, your vision, your values, it's going to lead you into how you brand your company, right? Because your color isn't just your color, right? Your color that you pick represents what your company stands for, right? And to the onlooker, it may just look like we said, like it's not purposeful, like you're just picking something. But it's if you do it the right way and you do that work up front, that's going to lead your branding choices.
Awesome.
Did that kind of answer what you were saying?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that because you offer so much nuance on these different aspects. So I want to hear your thoughts, but yep.
Well,
Excellent.
thank you. Yeah, that's an amazing question and observation.
Awesome. So I know John was following the chat. John, did we have any questions that still need to be addressed in the chat?
Right now, I don't see anybody asking any more questions. Actually, it looks like Rika had a comment here. Many people find it hard to distinguish between mission versus vision.
Yep.
And that's have a hard time writing a concise mission and vision statement. Any tips or advice?
Okay, so yes, and when you first look at it, especially, your values very clear, right? So let's put that aside. But your mission and vision, at times people are like, well, aren't those interchangeable? They're not, right? So if you can think of your vision as, in a perfect world, if my company is successful, this is what's achieved. It's your goal, right? So the vision for my company, for example, is that all frontline workers will work at frontline friendly companies. That's it. right? Our mission is that we connect frontline workers who want more with companies who offer more. But our vision is that goal. So if we are making these connections and we're working and doing all this, what do we want to achieve? And what we want to achieve is them all working at companies that value them and understand how important their work is. Did that make sense?
Mika, does that make sense?
I don't think she's able to actually get to her. Yep, it
Oh,
does.
it does. I see
Since
her
it does,
chat.
yeah.
I do see we have one more question from Mo Kadora.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, first things first, thank you, Ty, for the information. I think
Absolutely.
my question comes with your background in marketing. As a person who's just starting a new business, and I know that might be easier to reshape the mission vision, experiment with it until you find what works. But in general, what are the biggest pitfalls in terms of harmful marketing actions that a new business can do?
Oh, okay. There are quite a few. All right. So let's see. I was just talking to a company recently that got into some trouble posting on social media, right? So some of the biggest pitfalls, because social media is it's a very treacherous landscape, if you will, right? So sometimes companies get very eager and excited about posting on certain holidays, and things can come off tone deaf, right? That is a giant pitfall, and it's hard to listen. You're not going to please everybody. Somebody's going to be mad about something at some point in your career arc, right? Some of your marketing is not going to hit the right way. It's going to turn wrong. So one, you've got to be able to, when you're called out and someone brings to your attention that a mistake is made, you have to own your mistake, which sometimes is really hard to do. And the biggest pitfall you see sometimes, especially from companies, is them going, well, I'm not going to own that. I didn't mean that. Whether you meant it or not, it was taken that way. So that I think would be something huge, especially when it comes across as marketing, whether it's print, whether we're talking how you're running your socials, whether it's your website, is just to be cognizant when things are brought to your attention and take ownership of what you do.
Awesome. So even if you made some of these mistakes, just make sure, just stand up for it, fix it. Don't just throw the blame away or try to justify what you did.
Yeah, don't sweep it under the rug, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's also, we kind of talked about a little bit about having a village and a team around you. Sometimes these mistakes occur because there's not a different voice in the room. So all the voices in the room are saying the exact same thing, which means there's not a perspective that's going, wait a second, that's not quite right, guys. We need to take a step back and reevaluate, right? Yeah. So sometimes you can also ward it off by making sure that you're inclusive, that you've got a lot of different voices that you're listening to. Not too many chefs in the kitchen necessarily, but that you're taking into account different perspectives.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I know Angela has a question. Angela, did you want to go ahead and ask?
Hi, Ty. I was wondering,
Hi.
would it be okay if we share your slide deck with
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
So that's great. I'm glad that you asked that, Angela. So John actually makes our videos at the rec for YouTube, and any of the recordings, any of the workshops that you attend, they're available on the YouTube channel the following day. So John will actually take that link and put that link in the YouTube recording, and we'll also share. Let's also share. Oh, I think you did right there, John. He shared that in the chat, the link to our YouTube channel, so any of you can access those there. And do we have before we wrap up? Do we have any more last minute questions before we let Ty get back to Texas?
Yeah. Oh, let's see. How do you make teams?
I have a comment.
I see one, but go ahead with the comment. But I saw a question just pop up.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to thank you for the diversity aspect, but because the diversity aspect is really one that's it's multidimensional, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get hung up with the diversity and they don't think about the big D, right? So it's diversity in terms of not just how you look, but what walks of life you were in and how you approached it and what you learned and everything you bring to the platform. That's what you are. And that's really, really important. And so many people forget that you can have 4 people that look somewhat similar, but are completely different in terms of what they bring to you in the company for that department. So
That deep level diversity. Yeah.
that's
Absolutely. And that's, that's kind of what I talked about. With my team at the beginning, right? So my team, it's 2 guys, 2 males, and myself, right? But we're all people of color. So in that sense, we have that shared experience, right? However, like you were talking about, our walks of life, our work backgrounds could not be more different, right? We've got someone who worked in corporate America, we've got someone who works in nonprofit, and then we've got an academic. And it's nice to have that kind of range in voices because we all see things just a little differently because of how our work experience has evolved over our careers, right?
Awesome. So
I-
we do one, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
I had another question, but if we don't have time for one more, I'll just take a step back.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and answer this one last question, and then after the fact, if you want to stick around, we can do that then. But I do have a question from Yale. Did you want to ask directly, Yale, or I see it's how do you make your team others excited for your vision?
There is a good question. So for us, here's how the moment hit. And this applies to our mission statement when we were creating it. As we were creating our mission and our vision, because we kind of did those 2 things hand in hand, we spit out a lot of stuff, right? And there were several things that everybody was like, oh, that's pretty good, but nobody was excited about it, right? And it's not that they were bad. It's just that, one of us felt like it wasn't quite there yet. So what we did was we took our time and we didn't settle. So we didn't settle in the sense that we said, okay, that's good enough. And we're pretty okay with that. We waited till we all kind of had that aha moment. What's nice about, startups is you're talking about a very small group of people, right? And once we got aligned and really were all on board with our mission, our vision made itself, right? Because if we achieved our mission, that's where our vision went. And we were excited about our mission, which then made us excited about our end game, our vision.
That's awesome. So what I'd love to do now is if you want to just take us out with a final thought, Ty, I'll pass it back to you, and I'll just remind everybody one last time, please do complete the feedback survey that John put there in the chat, and he'll put it one more time again. Also, if any of you like to view previous workshops, visit our YouTube channel, or if you'd like to come to one of the upcoming workshops, we have several more through the semester, typically 1 to 2 per week, and they're all great like this, although yours was especially great, Ty.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So Ty, I'll let you take us away, and then afterwards we'll all have a short break. And those of you who are in the incubator, stick around because we are going to be working on our pitch deck presentations tonight. We have a lot to do for the upcoming pitch competition. So Ty.
Okay. So final thought is this. It's kind of simple and maybe simplistic, but my final thought really is find your village. It is find those people who can support you, because that's what's going to help you in your success. Find people who believe in what you're talking about. You're going to meet plenty of people that are like, I don't think that's going to work. I don't really get your idea. Seek out those who understand what you're talking about. Find your people, connect with them, and know that you're not alone. And the second thing is ask for help. We only know what we don't know. So no matter if you've been doing something for 30 years, for 40 years, forever, we can always ask for help, and we can always ask questions, and we can always learn. Do not be afraid to learn, grow, and ask for help when you need it. So that's my final thought.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. And thank you everybody for attending. Have a wonderful rest of the
Tanya, do you want me to hang around? Because I know there was one more question.
So yeah, so
Okay.
I'll go ahead and let those who need to take off. Those of you who are in the incubator, though, we're going to start back up at 8. Any of you who want to use these rooms to talk, to ask for further question, you're more than welcome to. You can be here in the main room, and there's also several breakout rooms. So bye, everybody. Thank you. We'll see